Assalamu alaikum. I'm up early this morning, and I don't want y'all to misconstrue what you're seeing right now. It's a lot of rhetoric, a lot of talk, a lot going on. And my intention, my purpose is to show you we're going out of the Black's Law. I told you it's a necessary. I got the 8th edition here. Gift from my wife. And I want to read something to you. The legal term of a receipt. And it says, the act of receiving something, any receipt of the document was delayed by 2 days. The second definition, a written acknowledgement that something has been received. Keep the receipt for the gift. And then accountable receipt, a receipt in which a person admits that goods or money were delivered to the person and that the person is obliged to deliver all or part of the goods or money to a third person. My question is, in this definition, can you see the standard that is set up? Can you see the rights of procurement? And what receipt starts this initial purchase, this initial act to do business? Well, brother, this morning, it's cold outside, but it's a humbling process. It's basically 9:35 in the morning. It's early. I'm enjoying the early weather. I saw my brother Ali off ran, and he was talking about the disparity in the household. He's talking about the disparity in the household and the condition of the children and how they destroy before they step foot outside the door. I had to learn the level of love the hard way, because I was always one that dealt with scars. I dealt with scars. Scars from adolescence. Scars from my existence in a situation. Scars from when I stepped my foot outside the door. And the application that was laid to me in my raising. It was love, but it was limited love. I never truly fully understood what love meant. I never truly grasped that concept until I found Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in my religion of Islam that I struggle upon daily. Never want to knock it. Never want to knock no other man's religion. But I know as a custodian of my children that I have a duty and a right and an obligation to fulfill for them. To teach them that which brought me to a level of truth and understanding. And that truth and understanding for me, specifically as I say, for me, is just that. I had to learn the level of love that I perpetrated when I spoke to my grandmother, my mother, my father, my friends, my family, anybody that I considered to utter that word to. I found out in the passing of time that I didn't even understand that. So we say this word freely, but do we let it manifest in all its glory and truth, the way that it really is? Love is a concept that must be looked at wholly in the creation. As I'm standing out here right now, outside, and I'm looking at how immaculate God was in his wisdom. And don't misinterpret me as being a Muslim as saying the word God, but it's the only understanding that you have. But we say Allah because we know that God can be associated with man, and we don't associate God with man. Nor do we recognize no man as being God, because if he had to eat, sleep, and defecate like we did, he was just like us. So we use that concept and we give it to translate to those who have the ability to understand. When we say God, it means Allah as the supreme creator, the omnipresent, the omnipotent in everything we do because of his knowledge. So this morning I'm talking about the level of love, and I found out that I use this word loosely because it wasn't universally or worldly bound to the true understanding on how God created us and made within us everything to work in this order. Our systems, our bodies, how they work without our control. How the bird can fly to these trees and know where to find his food at. How the animals can graze and they ain't begging. They go right to their provision from their Lord. That's true love, because everything is placed right where it need to be. So we say this word loosely. We harm our children. We harm our families. We harm our friends. We harm creation because we lack understanding of this word. So Ali Al-Ram, he was right about that. See, we have a glass dish in front of us and we got a razor blade and we never scratch the surface of love. So that brings me to the condition that we in. My condition is no better than the next man. It's just a level of understanding and the application of that knowledge that I have that will set me apart. From the rest of mankind. And if we all take our time to sweep off our own front steps, then we will start to find that maybe your neighbor be watching and they'll figure to pull out the broom and sweep their front steps too. So we think about this if we want to reflect. So that brings me to this condition that we are upon right now. And my only attempt is to open your eyes because I'm looking to do something, as I said the other day, different. Raj Jala Shabazz, I hope you can see this. It's time for us to get together, brother. Glad you're home. May Allah preserve you. May Allah give you strength. And for y'all that don't know, this is the brother that was the imam in Atlanta. He got compassionate relief after about 30 years in prison. Went down out of Florida with the Booby Boys. He's home. Raj Jala Shabazz, I just messaged you this morning. So respond to that message, brother. We got work to do. I'm calling all my people who has an understanding there's a unification that's going to have to take place in order for us to raise our people from this situation. There's institutions that's going to have to be established because we got to raise our people from this situation. And there are those of us who have knowledge and the ability to execute this duty, this obligation that is placed upon us as being Muslims. Saifullah Armstrong, brother called me over into the morning. You was right, Aki. We got to move in a unified force. Because we've been there and we know what it takes. Aliyah, we're going to have that sit down, inshallah. And we're going to cut this thing down. So you continuously hear me talk about the cut down. Life under contract in America. Tony Mullen Bay. Christopher Glass. Cannon Bay. We got work to do. Period. So, as I was telling you about the receipt. The receipt. The legal definition of the receipt. As you see it, there are things that is happening with this definition. The legal definition. Not what you understand. Not what you understand the receipt to be just a piece of paper. They will keep you in the blind if you think that receipt is just a piece of paper. It is the engagement. Almost universally now, under the Hague Convention. That these transactions will be carried out by governments that have constituents with the ability to work, with the ability to undertake the liability that does not belong to them. It belongs to your government. The responsibility, the word is used as responsibility. And if you look up that word, it tells you what it means. Do you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand? Responsibility. The very first one. Liability. Liability. So you will see on some of your government documents that it says that your government is liable. They have the responsibility to discharge all of your financial affairs because you are contracted under them through the naturalization and the forms of their contracts. So you must learn to understand this. You must learn to understand what is the obligation of your government. They are the liable parties. You see? You see? But they tie you. They tie you in. Look at what it says. It gives you the criminal law. It gives you the cases. It gives you the understanding. And then it talks about the ambiguities. The ambiguities. As for the ambiguities of the word responsibility, it is, I think, still important to distinguish two of the very different things that this difficult word may mean. To say that someone is legally responsible for something often means only that under legal rules he is liable to be made either to suffer or to pay compensation in certain eventualities. What are the legal rules? And what can cause you to be made to either suffer or pay compensation in certain eventualities. You have to stop. You have to search the meaning of this section right here to be able to understand what is going on. And as my wife told me, who am I to teach you? Who am I to teach you? I have a certain understanding of certain things, no matter how difficult my struggle may be in life. I have digested this so much that the best part of me is this. This is all I can give you. Anything else that you take from me is solely from Allah. And I was only able to give it to you because of my understanding and because of the understanding that He allowed me to have to be able to give it to you, to distinguish from you or to you what that is that I've learned. What's up, Fat Boy Sosa? I see you, man. Need to get over here, man. It's time for us to make a move. So you have to understand, how can they legally bind you when the liability remains with your government? How can they legally bind you? The first thing that they apply is the jurisdiction. If you go back and watch my videos, you will begin to understand. You see? So let's keep going so you can hear clearly. Okay. The expression "he'll pay for it" covers both these things. In this primary sense of the word, the primary sense of the word, meaning the sole beginning or the source of this word, the primary sense. In the primary sense of the word, though a man is normally only responsible for his own actions or the harm he has done, he may be also responsible for the actions of other persons if legal rules so provide. What are those legal rules? What are those legal rules? Let me give you an example. Fat Boy Sosa. They call you in the courtroom. I'm teaching about the responsibility and where it lies about jurisdiction. So I'm trying to remedy for one of my homeboys and a few of our good men that's caught up in this system. How can they defer this responsibility back to the ones who actually placed it upon them, to bring harm upon them, for them to pay for an act that they really don't even govern, that can really be discharged? So I'm giving you the legal definition of it because these brothers need help. So if you're able to hear this, you're able to give them this information. You see? So I'm up close. So they call you Fat Boy Sosa into the courtroom and they ask you. They are setting the standard for jurisdiction. So they ask you, did you receive the warrant? Because they have a notary there. They have a notary there, and the notary is taking down everything that you say, and it's becoming law. That's the presence of the notary. Because there are things that is happening. Because you are now going to tie yourself as a responsible party to any actions that you have committed in this form of commerce. And it must be established in the courtroom. Because now these documents are being monetized. And according to the rules here, there is only two ways to monetize. And I don't care who you are, what government you are under. When you enter into dealing with these forms of contract, you are monetizing whether you choose to use their uniform commercial code or not. Any document that you submit has a number on the bottom, and this number is attached to a statute. And this statute has a slush fund. It is a slush fund, and it was created with funds to handle every statute that you see here in this book. Chapter 9, Chapter 8, any statute that you are going to go into. Federal Rules 66, Federal Rules 5. whatever statute, statute 28 USC. You see? These statutes are titles. These titles are like the title to your house, your car, except this is where the funds are found for the establishment of the organization. That means that you can control. You can control the funding. You can control the funding, but you must learn how. So now we get back to responsibility and the attachment of that responsibility that goes over to you in your personal capacity, your private capacity. And then you end up in a public institution. I'm giving you snippets of what's going on. I'm trying to help those who are helping us as a people to come out of this condition. I'm preaching about success. I'm preaching about a standard and a way of living that supersedes anything that we know or have begun to enjoy. Because if you look at Voltaire, if you look at Emma Vattel, if you go back and study the international law, if you go back and look at it as Christopher Glass Bay was saying, as Tony Mullen has been saying, if you go back and study international law, you will find that it is best for you to be disinterested in the forms of commerce, but you must utilize it because the system is there. And the system will not be circumvented until you can get a stronghold and create or make manifest those things that you wish to bring about for your people, our people, for the world. This is a worldly effort. I've challenged you to look up the rights of the name in its full scope. If you've done that, you would have been hitting my inbox for the next move. But that's not going to deter me. Because there are those of us that are moving in our singular capacity, only to be joined together so that we can move in unison. We must help each other. All that bickering and arguing about who this and who that, it's not necessary. No. You must be able to do your due diligence in your information and your knowledge yourself. And then you join those who have the ability to take you further with no malice. All of us have to be in harmony. So, we're going to walk this walk. And I'm going to take y'all to the next step. Inshallah. If you're willing to go. Big D, I'm looking for you, man. Assalamu alaikum.